She lives in Beverly Hills. Pale colors, pale flowers. Tasteful in design. The house was once owned by Zsa Zsa Gabor. Sue relaxes comfortably on her luxurious sofa. She wears one of her signature caftans and wire-rimmed glasses. There's a coffee table before her with a dish of chocolates and an ashtray. She's waiting on a phone call from Miss Barbara Streisand. Barbara fired Sue today. Actually, to be accurate, Barbara's lawyers fired Sue today. She considers her lawyers as micro-state serious Jews that join arms and bottle dance their way to the speakerphone to call her. They promise that Barbara will call her, so she sits and waits. Sue is a very colorful speaking character. It's not my words, but this is how Sue would do it. Sue likes to express herself with colorful words and is no stranger to being two-fisted smoker, joint in one hand, cigarette in the other. Sue is married, and the only thing she loves more than her husband is her dinner parties. At dinner parties, she only invites stars in a dish. They chat about who's in, who's out, who's up, who's down, who's on bottom, who wants to be on top, but really wants to be on bottom. It's the most delicious gossip you ever heard. If you can't say anything nice about someone, sit next to Sue. Sue has two rules about throwing parties. Rule number one, all showbiz all the time. No politics, science, sports, or animals. Because she doesn't give a shit. The only thing she cares about is movies and movie stars. Rule number two, no children. She just doesn't get the appeal of children. One of Sue's clients squeezed out an infant and wanted to bring it by, and Sue told her, why don't you drive past and let it wait? Some would think she doesn't like kids because of her childhood. Sue says a couple years ago, when she was born in Germany, and as the only child when she was 8, Mr. Hitler started getting stroppy, and her parents decided to seek greener pastures and joined the ranks of other sensible Jews who were getting gone. Sue, her mom and dad migrated to Utica, New York, where her father discovered there wasn't much of a market for German playboys. Sue's first several years in the States was a little grim because she didn't speak any English, so she always felt like an outsider. When Sue was in school, she wanted to approach the most popular girl, Gladys Burton, the ringleader, the star. But she was afraid to approach her because of her accent. So she decided to learn better English almost entirely by watching movies. Once she had the rudiments of the language, she was determined to make the effort to approach Gladys Burton. The night before, she practiced saying her name without the accent. Hello, my name is Sue Manners. The next day at recess, she attempted one of the bravest things she's ever done. She walked across the playground and approached Gladys Burton and said, hello, my name is Sue Manners. And surprisingly, Gladys was nice to her. Sue thanks God Gladys was nice because her life would have probably have been entirely different if Gladys Burton had been a bitch. A couple years later, Sue's father killed himself at a Times Square hotel room. He didn't leave a note, so they never knew why. But she thinks living with her gorgon of a mother might have something to do with it. Sue also acknowledged his life was never going to align with his self-image of being a German playboy, and instead of cigarette boats on Lake Como, it was going to be third-class trains and cold water flats until the credits rolled. Sue contributed working hard for her clients because her dad died without fulfilling his dreams. After Sue's father's death, her mom decided to move to the Bronx, New York. She couldn't stand the shame of her dad's suicide that brought upon her. While in the Bronx, Sue became extremely obsessed with movies and movie stars. So she came up with this conclusion that she had to become an actress. She signed up to take an acting class, and during the first lesson, she realized that she was fucked. Everyone was prettier than her, even the boys. The experience didn't deter her. She convinced herself to start reading the trades, and she applied for an ad for a receptionist at the William Morris Agency. As a secretary, Sue answered phones, made coffee, and listened to every conversation she could, sometimes through the keyhole. She found out that she loved the business of the business and decided, why be a king when you can be a kingmaker? When Sue went out, she flashed the William Morris name like an FBI badge. She went everywhere and met everyone. When meeting anyone, she thought it was like crossing the playground. Hello, my name is Sue. William Morris Agency. She thought, if you want to be a thing, make yourself that thing. One night, Sue and her boss was invited by a client to hang out at a place called The Line. A young lady by the name of Barbara Streisand was performing. Prior to the performance, Sue noticed something that she'll never forget. Before the young lady started singing, she makes a guy adjust the spotlight. The spotlight was 40 watts with the amber gel in the middle of a shitty gay bar. But she took the time to make a little magic happen, and that is what superstars do. After the performance, Sue introduces herself. Listen, kid, you're gonna go the distance. I can see it. The rest of them, these fucking jamokes, they can't, but I can. And I want to be there. Sue Mangers, William Morris Agency. They shake hands and they go their separate ways. Sue recalls when the great day finally came, when the big window opened. A young guy by the name of Tom Corbin offered Sue her own desk. He took a chance on her becoming an agent, and Sue recognized that without Tom Corbin, there's no Sue. God bless Tom Corbin. Where would we be without those people who believed in us? Those brave souls who take a second to glance our way and say, what the fuck, why not? Corbin and Associates. Sue references herself as the associate. It was a second-class tier agency at best. But God damn it, Sue was finally an agent. As an agent, she went to work, doing what an agent does, which is two things: signing and holding. You sign in talent, and you hold them, and in between, when time allows, you get them work. You talk them off various ledges of showbiz and make them happy. Along with making them happy, you make them rich, you get them laid. Sue's very first client was Julie Harris. Julie joined the ranks of Gladys Burton and Tom Corbin. Julie Harris taught Sue a lesson she never forgot, and that she had to speak to the artists in their language, not hers. She also learned that agents are the public face of their clients, and you have to become a chameleon. For example, when you call to get Julie Harris a job, don't say, listen, you motherfucker, get this bitch the part. You call, and you make it sound like you're sipping tea. And you say, good afternoon. Miss Julie Harris is considering a guest appearance. Should we discuss? Finally, the phone rings, but it's not Barbara. It's Sissy Spacey. Sissy is not a client of Sue, but she tries to steal her from her present agency. Sue acknowledged that agents are headhunters in the business. It's a tough old game, Hollywood, survival of the fittest. Her favorite book she never wrote is I'll Eat You Last, a cannibal love story. She smiles and lights another cigarette or a joint or both. In 1968, Sue finally made it to LA. And she was working with Freddie Fields and David Begelman at the company that became ICM, which was her current agency. In LA, she became a little frog in a big pond. So she had to get to work of being noticed. Eventually, riding to the rescue on a white horse came no other than Barbara Streisand. Barbara had become a major star, and Sue was still low on the credits. Hanging out with Barbara gave Sue clout, and it opened up the window for her. Once Sue was in, she went to work. She was persuasive, funny, ferocious. To Sue, no always meant maybe. Sue eventually developed a list of Oscar-winning, star-studded clients. Sue was living life she always dreamed about. She went from just being Barbara's friend to being Sue. And people took her calls instantly. Sue clients were getting rich. And Mike Wallace did a piece on her on 60 Minutes. Sue didn't just represent stars, she was a star. Now let's find out what Sue's 5 golden rules of being an agent are. Number 1.
Rule number 1. Never blow a deal on money. In Hollywood, money doesn't really mean anything. It's just a way to keep score. It's kind of like the Easter Bunny. Nobody needs it, but it's nice when it pops into your lap and watches you post. Let's face it, most movie stars have more money than they could spend in a handle like that. So 5 of them or 50 grand here or there doesn't really matter. What does matter in this building is building a career and making the smart choices. When you are an agent, you have to be a giraffe. You start looking over the trees, checking out predators lying on in wait, and hopefully see a way to the next watering hole. And a smart agent knows when to take less money for a job that moves your client closer to the watering hole. Big picture, remember? Robert Evans and Roman Polanski are casting Chinatown. For the female star opposite Jack Nicholson, they are waffling between James Fonda and my client. Fight an hour. It's coming down to the wire. My spies at Paramount tell me they are getting ready to offer it to Bob. I go into great white mode. I call up Bobby Evans, who I know forever. Bobby, listen, this movie is going to be hard enough to make without having to deal with James Smith's ego. You know what I mean? You have to tell her to fuck off, honey, because you are going to lose Dunaway if you don't. No, I shouldn't be telling you this, but Arthur Penn wants fake for his new picture, so I need an answer by close of business tomorrow, or we are taking it. Cheating you, I am not. And we won't take any less than 250,000. You hear me? You prick, 250. Slam down the phone. Bobby called me an hour later. Mandela, I hear plays hard to work with. What? Compared with Hannah Jane and her legions of proteges best? Come on, and we want 250, you fucker. 75 or I'm calling Jane. Fuck you, we are taking the actor Penn movie. Fuck you, we are casting Jane. Slap, slap. I spent an hour pretending to think about it, and then I called Bobby. Honey, I spoke to Faith. She's crazy how to work with them, so we will take 75. We got a deal? We got a deal. And guess what? There was no Arthur Penn movie. I made that up. Guess what? Fonda turned us down yesterday. God, I love this game. So in this case, getting Faye Dunaway, that part to move her career forward, was worth more than the money. Looking back on her career, you can see it clearly. No Tina Town, no network, no Oscar. The trick is seeing it before it happens, all the way to the water in Popeye. And by the way, Faye never liked me and I never liked her. She stayed with me for 5 minutes, wins the Oscar, and then she's out. Bye-bye, Sue. I do rightly know, with a certain amount of scandal press, that her last paying job was portraying Miss Eva Peron in a TV movie. Who's laughing now, bitch? So, never blow out a little one.
Rule number 2, never remind them. Here's another reason so many clients dump an agent once they get successful. Because you remind them of when they were hungry. When they're on the way up, they'll do anything for you. But once they get a taste of success, as night follows day, they start to hate you, specifically because they used to need you. So for fuck's sake, don't compound the problem by reminding them of the good old days, when you were all young and eager and up and coming. Movie stars have already up and come. They have came and are. That's why they're movie stars. There's nothing more present tense than a movie star. You only talk to them about the future, never the past. And if you're representing Miss Diana Ross, as I did, you might want to avoid saying the following as you walk the red carpet at the Oscars with her. Wow, Diana, long way from the days of blowing Barry Gordy in the back of the limo. Huh? So, never remind them.
Rule number 3, never tell them the truth. Clients always say, come on, Sue, give it to me straight. Don't sugarcoat it. Jesus, God, not one of them could survive a single phone call that wasn't coated with enough sugar to make Tony the Tiger puke. You think any one of them really want to know solid brains people? No, they do not. You never tell the client the whole truth. You tell them just enough of the truth, carefully shaded to make them feel as young and successful and rich as possible at all times. So yes, I see you, silly man, righteously saying, but surely, sir, you owe them the truth. Okay, try looking into the eyes of someone you love and saying, you're old. You're not high enough anymore. They want the younger version of you. They want the thinner version of you. No, darling, they don't want you for the part of the sister, or for the best friend, for the sidekick, for the grandmother. Maybe it's time you think about TV. Maybe it's time you think about dinner theater. Maybe it's time you think about retirement. You do not exit. Carefully. Careful. The skin of the dreams is so thin. You poke one little hole and all the air pisses out. All movie people really have, most of them, is their confidence. You take that away. Julie Harris. You know how much I love this lady? Recently, she's not so hot. Time happens, right? East of Eden is a long time ago. Who's Julie Harris? But she's desperate to play Mary Todd Lincoln in this TV thing. So I go to them. I try everything. I drive over there, I talk to the network, I talk to the directors, I offer bribes, I offer deals, I go flat out. No good. Too old. Not sexy enough. Like famous sex kitten Mary Todd Lincoln, right? So I have to tell Julie, we have lunch, so I can do it in person. I'm dreading her. I tell her the director has a hard-on for whoever the next cast person is. Nothing personal, nothing to do with her. She looks at me.
And rule number 5, the final rule, know the spouse. Which brings us invariably to Ally McGraw. Ally was my favorite client ever. She's a goddess, like from another universe. She floats through ours, touching lives, making the world a more graceful place. I love her to little tiny pieces. I signed her right after she married Bobby Evans. She hits it big in Love Story. She gets the Oscar nomination. I get her on the cover of Time. She's respectful and funny and oh so beautiful. Ally and Bob are burning up the red carpet like nothing since Clark and Lombard. She's happy. She's happy. I'm happy. What could possibly go wrong? I'll tell you in 2 words. 4 words. That can't Steve McQueen. So, I'm busy playing giraffe, taking care of Ally. Maybe she's getting typecast in all these preppy parts. Maybe we should look for something different, something cooler. She likes the idea of challenging herself with something new. So this offer comes in. Getaway. Sam Peckinpah directing. Ally opposite Steve McQueen. We grab it. They make it. She falls in love. She divorces Bobby Evans. She marries McQueen. Now, I know you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead. Steve McQueen was a total fake. This cult of personality that's grown up around him since his death is crap. He was an abusive, alcoholic, misogynist, loutish, pretentious, mean, manic, depressive. That motherfucker ruined Ally's career. He was so fucking insecure. He couldn't stand her star wattage, so he pushed her into the corner. He makes her move into this isolated house out in Malibu, and she becomes his old lady who's supposed to cook dinner, have it ready on the table by 6 for Steve and his stuntman buddies. And she did. She did. And this is Ally fucking McGraw, barefoot and pregnant, out in Malibu waiting on this cocksucker hand and foot. Of course you should have told him to fuck off. Of course you should have told him. Of course you should have fought for her career. Everyone told her. Me loudest of all. Why the fuck are you letting this man take away your livelihood and your dignity? This is your moment, Ally, and it might never come back again. You gotta be smart here. And you will not be surprised to hear that Steve didn't like me. Hated it when I called. Knew I was trying to get Ally back to work. He grunted something, he handed the phone to her without a word, or just hung up. Had all the manners of Richard Speck. Early on, she used to bring him to my dinner parties, and he got so nervous that he had to smoke a spliff and get stoned. He got so nervous of being in this room filled with smart and tall people. And then he would just stand in a corner, trying to look deeply brooding. But he was fake about that too. He didn't really brood. He just scrunched up his face and tried to look deep. Ended up looking like the fucking Muppets, thinking about Auschwitz. But she loved him. And that was her choice. That was her heart. And it lied to her. You saw it happening and it killed you. But maybe that's what love looks like. Maybe it was right for her, but wrong for me as an agent. What the hell do I know? I'm not exactly an expert on much of anything. So, day comes, I have to have it out with Ally. She's choosing not to work. The offers are drying up. If she's going to salvage her career, she's got to get back to work. Rest of your life, baby, you're in or out. So, I drive to Malibu. I'm nervous. I adore this girl. So I'm readying every argument in my head, and I'm going to give her both barrels, which is what you do for people you love. You give it to them stone cold. She can take it. So I pull up. She walks out of the house to meet me, and her son Josh is on her hip, and she smiles, and she's radiant. And I look at her. Are you happy, Allie? Yes, so I am. So, fuck. I give her a kiss, turn right around and drive away. Try not to look back. So that's the final rule. Know the spouse.
One last tip from Sue. Go ahead, cross the playground. What have you got to lose? After all, the credits roll sooner than you think.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I need the floor.